Okay, guys, we're back. We got Michael who visited, and he brought us something to check out. Amateur porting on a Jeep 2.5 liter. Yeah, four-cylinder stuff. The red-headed stepchild of Jeep engines. Maybe unjustly deserved. I think these are slightly different than a 4.0 design, but not much because the 4.0 design is really good. He did some really nice work on here, and he has some molds for us. Let's take a look at the molds. Okay, so Michael's a student of DV. He knows where to add and where to subtract and things like that. He actually did add. Very interesting. We'll get to that. The one on the right is the stocker. The one on the left is the one he modified. He did take out metal in the correct places. Okay, not a huge difference on the short side, but it does seem to be working pretty well. Notice the shape of the bowl back here versus the shape of the bowl back here. If we look at it this way, let me see if I can get these. We can look at them both at the same time. Okay, there's the stocker on the right, ported on the left. Notice he made it quite a bit taller and a nice big fat bowl. I know you guys like a fat bowl. Okay, we got a good shape for the roof. It looks really good. Nice amount of work done to the pinch. Not crazy, but worked out really well, actually. I was surprised by the numbers. Now, it was flowed on a 4.1 inch bore. I don't have a reduced bore for this. So, yeah, it added a few CFM, no doubt. Keep that in mind. Okay, same deal with the exhaust. The stocker is on the right. You can see he did some work around the guide. All right, the guide looks much better. You can really see the difference where the stock cuts in the bowl, right? That's all been radiused out much nicer. We got a nice angle on the port, right? A nice bias. Better on this one than this one. Port worked real well, actually. He did do some work to the short side, but nothing major. And if you really want to get technical, look at the shape of that port and look at the shape of that port. Why are they different? Look at that again. It's got some super stock bronze added to the floor. That's the floor that's upside down. And guess what? Probably would have worked better if he added another 1/4 of an inch on top of that, because our air speeds are pretty slow there. But that exhaust port gets it done for what it is. It's a relatively small port, and it moves a good amount of air. This is going to be a great running little engine. Okay, right down the throat of the port, you can see that the intake port is quite short and fat. I know all about that. I'm good with that. Okay, you can see it's not polished to a work of art, but it's not supposed to be. It's to get some more power, with a minimum amount of work. Let's not spend 100 hours on a set of 2.5 heads. That's just a little silly. That's something Charlie would do. The liquid in the bowl looks quite good. The chamber, he didn't change much. Yeah, he took a little bit off of that. He radiused that edge a little bit. Guess what? That chamber shape is pretty good stock. Me, I probably would have taken a little metal out of this to feed the exhaust a little better, but then again, I might not have, because this port is actually backwards. This is a counterflow head, right? The intake comes out this way, and then the exhaust goes out this way. You wouldn't want a radius on a counterflow. Correct myself then. All right, he had professional valve job done. It looks pretty good. The valves, the exhaust actually has a back cut. I frown on exhaust back cuts, but it looks fine. And it's got a double back cut on the intake valve. I don't know if you guys will be able to see that with the camera. I got a new phone, so I'm hoping it's better than the old one. At least it looked like a double. Yeah, it's definitely a double back cut. And we actually have a really nice pattern with the Dicom. Really nice. This is going to work out really well for him. Okay, you can see right here one of the reasons it works so well. Nice high, wide, short side. That's the way to do it. It's got, looks like about a 4-angle valve job. That doesn't hurt. And the exhaust looks quite good. Looks quite good. Gets it done. Okay, so as far as flow numbers and stuff, I have no idea what these flow. Probably the same as a 4.0. Okay, you get them numbers off Stan's website. And you got to remember, this is flowed on a 4.1 bore, so it's a little big for the head gasket, but not too bad. We got good seal on it. We got almost no leakage. So we got decent low lift flow numbers at 300 or 183.9. Not terrible at all. It's a 1.91 valve, I believe. And she maxes out. Let's say if we put a 500 cam in at 234.7, that's right in Chevy Vortec territory. Really not bad. Our swirl curve, it could use some work. Right, we're pretty much dead, and then after she loses it on the short side, she reverses, and she hits it hard, which is not necessarily bad. You know, it really isn't necessarily bad. As long as you're over 1,700 at your existing lift, this isn't really doing much. Like they say, the energy you're wasting on swirl here could be used to fill the cylinder. We did have a little spot of noise, but nothing to really sweat about. So the intake port worked really well the way it's set up with the double back cut and the porting he did. Not bad at all. In fact, it was quite a bit better than I expect. So even if we take a few CFM off of the bigger bore, they're still kicking butt for a 2.5. Okay. Exhaust, you got decent low lift numbers, and she tops out pretty darn good. 166. Now remember, when I did the 289 and E7 stuff for DV, he's like, if you can get that exhaust port to 165, I'll be thrilled. Did way better than that, but gives you an idea. So we're 166 with a small pipe, 178, big pipe, 191. With a little tiny exhaust port with some silicon bronze on the bottom. Good to keep in mind. Check out our airspeed numbers. A little fast on the floor. The rest is fine. Okay, we're not exactly even, but it's developed without a flow bench. So get what you get. But take a look at the short side. The short side's working really well, and it's relatively even. The short side, that's a very important point I should mention. I don't think I've ever mentioned it before. Between these numbers and these numbers, these are going to be more important than these every time. Short side is where it happens. That's going to make or break the port. Okay. All right. Take a look at our exhaust. This was the cylinder wall side. So that's this side. Okay. Not bad, 300, 320. A little bit more action towards the center of the cylinder, which makes sense. Kind of dead in the middle. And that was after it was raised. So you know the round one was completely zero at that point. And from side to side, not terrible. It's going to work quite well. Quite well for what it is. All right, he also brought me a Mopar head. We're gonna do a little work on that Mopar head and see what we got. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out. A little something different for you guys to look at. Jeep stuff. Relatively modern Jeep stuff, which is the old AMC Rambler stuff, which is the only stuff that I know of that was developed in the factory using airflow bench stuff. I think Ford finally did when they did the low rise, medium rise, and high rise 427s. But Rambler was doing it before then. It's in one of my engineering books. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out. Have a good night.